The restaurant smelled like citrus and control. My mother sat at the head of the table, diamonds glittering against the candlelight. My father adjusted his cufflinks, not out of habit, but performance. My brother Caleb's phone hovered just above the plates, recording every frame that looked expensive. Then came the envelope. White. Thick. Wordless. She slid it across the table like it was a family tradition. "This," she said softly, "is for you." Before continue the video, please tell me in the comments where are you listening from, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. The string quartet behind us paused mid-note. Forks froze. I felt the entire restaurant lean into the silence. Inside that envelope wasn't a card, or a check, or congratulations. It was a formal withdrawal of family support, signed by all of them. My graduation gift. No one spoke. The paper felt heavy between my fingers, a weight disguised as civility. I folded it once, twice, and placed it beside my water glass. My father cleared his throat. "We just think it's time you stand on your own feet, Clara." Funny. I'd been standing alone for years. My mother smiled, lips painted with expensive sympathy. "Don't be dramatic. This is good for you." Caleb smirked, checking his reflection in the knife's blade. "It's called tough love." I wanted to laugh, but silence felt sharper. So I stayed still, nodding once, the way you do when the scene is over and you're done pretending. They thought they'd written my ending. But they hadn't read the next chapter yet. As I walked out, my reflection followed me in the glass doors, not broken, just reframed. That night, I didn't cry. I brewed coffee, opened my laptop, and looked at the email sitting unread in my inbox. Subject: Partnership Proposal, GreenArc Technologies. My heartbeat steadied. The future wasn't ending. It was just under construction. They thought cutting me off would break me. But sometimes, disconnection is the first step to real connection. Wait till you hear what happened next. Growing up in the Dawson household felt like living inside a blueprint, everything measured, symmetrical, and silent. Our dining room wasn't a room, it was a stage. Every chandelier crystal caught light like it was auditioning. My father, Richard, rehearsed stories of his architectural triumphs. My mother, Elena, rehearsed her laughter. And Caleb, the family's golden son, perfected his smile like a brand logo. Me? I was the missing symmetry. At dinner parties, introductions always followed the same order. "This is Caleb," my mother would beam. "Our future partner at Dawson Design Group." And then, softer, almost like an afterthought. "And this is Clara. She's still figuring things out." The pause that followed felt longer than my entire resume. Guests would nod politely, their eyes already back on the champagne. I'd smile too, quietly, the kind of smile you wear when you're not part of the picture but can't step out of the frame either. I spent years mistaking silence for peace, until I realized silence was just control disguised as elegance. While they were busy designing skyscrapers for billionaires, I was in my small dorm room sketching something else. SustainHub, a system that used AI to help small contractors build eco-homes efficiently. No investors, no press, just passion and endless nights powered by bad coffee and better purpose. When I wasn't coding, I worked late shifts at a bookstore cafe. People there didn't care who my father was. They cared if I steamed the milk right and spelled their names correctly. For the first time, I felt real, no polish, no pretense. Sometimes, Caleb would text me photos from their parties, smiling under golden lights, champagne in hand, like life itself was on his side. He never noticed the silence in my replies. One night, after closing up the cafe, I came home to an email from my professor, Dr. Lin. "Your prototype just got shortlisted for the Innovation for Impact Award. Congratulations." For a moment, I just stared at the screen, the glow reflecting on my face. My success didn't need a spotlight, it had data. I wanted to tell my parents. I didn't. Because I already knew their response: "That's nice, dear." but when will it become something real? That's when I understood their love had an ROI. And I had stopped being a good investment. But destiny has a funny way of rewarding patience. Because just when they stopped seeing me, the world started to notice. Success doesn't always arrive with applause. Sometimes, it slips quietly into your inbox at 2:13 a.m. That's how it happened for me. A simple subject line. We'd like to feature Sustained in our upcoming Green Innovation Summit. I blinked twice, thinking it was spam. It wasn't. 2 weeks later, my project, the same one I'd built in a cramped dorm with a dying laptop, was presented to a panel of investors and environmental engineers. The audience wasn't glamorous, but it was real. They didn't care about my last name. They cared about what worked. When the presentation ended, people actually clapped. Not the polite kind, the kind that feels earned. Among them was Daniel Cruz, a sustainability investor from California. He walked up to me afterward, eyes sharp but kind. "You've built something practical," he said. "Not just pretty ideas." His words stuck. For years, my family had built aesthetics. I had built function. After that, things started moving fast. Sustained got a small grant. A team of volunteers joined in. We partnered with 2 eco-firms who wanted to pilot our design in real communities. And yet, at home, silence. When I mentioned the news during a family dinner, my father just nodded, eyes fixed on his phone. "That's good, Clara. But do you plan to get a real job soon?" Caleb chuckled. "Maybe she'll design us a treehouse next." My mother poured more wine and smiled, pretending not to hear the edge in their voices. I stayed quiet. Because I'd realized something powerful: you don't argue with people who've already decided what you're worth. You just let proof speak for you later. That night, after everyone left, I sat in the empty dining room. The chandelier above still sparkled, a little too bright, a little too proud. I thought about how my father's firm had once been offered a deal by GreenArc Technologies but lost it because they wanted more control over the design process. Funny how life circles back. Because the same company was now reaching out to me. When their logo appeared on my next email notification, I felt something shift inside. It wasn't revenge. It was recognition. The kind that doesn't need to be announced. They taught me silence was weakness. But soon, they'd learned silence could build empires. The rain outside my apartment window that night sounded like static, the kind that hides quiet thoughts between every drop. My laptop screen glowed pale blue, casting light across half-packed boxes and old sketches pinned to the wall. Then, the notification appeared. Incoming email, GreenArc Technologies. I clicked it open. Inside was a formal letter. "We are impressed by your work with Sustained. GreenArc would like to acquire partial rights to your system and offer you a position as lead sustainability architect." For a long moment, I just stared. The world felt still, the kind of stillness that hums before something begins. I reread the numbers twice. The offer wasn't just life-changing. It was validation printed in corporate font. I wanted to tell someone. Maybe my father. But I already knew what he'd say: never make business decisions on emotion. Except, for the first time, this wasn't about emotion. It was about evidence. That night, I opened my old journal, the one I used to sketch houses no one would ever live in. Next to an old drawing of a glass house, I wrote one line. Build something they can't ignore. The next morning, I met with GreenArc's founder, Amara Chen, over video call. She was everything my mother pretended to be: poised, kind, and purposeful. "I read your thesis," she said. "It's not just smart, it's human. We want that voice on our team." No one had ever described my work that way before. By the end of the call, I'd signed a preliminary agreement, with one condition: Sustained's mission had to remain affordable and community-driven. Amara smiled. "That's why we want you, Clara. You don't compromise on integrity." As soon as the call ended, I closed my laptop and exhaled. The city outside looked different. Same skyline. Different story. That evening, my father called unexpectedly. His tone was casual, too casual. Your mother mentioned you're doing something with Green Arc? I almost smiled. Yes. We're finalizing a partnership. A pause. Then his voice sharpened just slightly. You know, I was in talks with them once. They weren't ready for large-scale projects. Translation, they chose you over me. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Some victories are quieter than applause. But peace never lasts long in the Dawson family. Because just when I thought I'd built my own foundation, they decided to tear it down, one envelope at a time. 2 days before graduation, a message appeared in the Dawson family group chat. Dinner reservation, the Aurelia room, 8 p.m. formal attire. No emojis. No warmth. Just an event disguised as affection. The Aurelia room was my mother's favorite, white tablecloths, golden chandeliers, and the kind of silence that cost extra. It was the same restaurant where every Dawson milestone was celebrated. Birthdays. Promotions. Awards. Just never mine. I almost didn't go. But something in me wanted closure, or maybe just confirmation that I was done trying. When I arrived, the host greeted me with a polished smile. Welcome. Name, please? Clara Dawson, I said. Her eyes flickered briefly to the tablet. Then back to me. I don't see your name on the reservation, but the Dawson party is seated just ahead. My stomach tightened. I nodded. That's fine. Inside, the air smelled of truffle oil and performance. My mother waved, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Clara, darling. You made it. Caleb was already recording something for his followers, probably a toast to family values. Sit, my father said, his voice clipped. We have something important to discuss. The waiter appeared with practiced timing and placed a white envelope by my plate. No one spoke. The sound of the quartet in the background faded to a hum. What is this? I asked. My father's tone was surgical. It's time for transparency. We've decided it's best for everyone if you take full independence from the family. My mother added softly, you're capable, Clara. You don't need us holding you back. I opened the envelope. Inside was a notarized letter, an official termination of financial and legal ties. My graduation gift. Caleb leaned back, smirking. Welcome to adulthood. For a moment, I just looked at them, this picture-perfect family rehearsing cruelty like a script. And then I smiled. Small, quiet, controlled. Thank you, I said. The word startled them. My father's fork froze midair. My mother blinked. You're thanking us? Yes, I said. Because it's easier to build something new when you finally stop trying to fix what's broken. I folded the letter neatly and placed it back on the table. No scene. No tears. Just calm. Because they thought this was the end. But it was only the blueprint for my beginning. That night, they handed me disownment papers. What they didn't know was that I'd already signed my freedom. The letter sat on the white linen between us, folded, innocent, final. My father adjusted his cufflinks like he'd just signed another successful deal. My mother looked relieved, as if severing ties was an act of mercy. Caleb raised his glass, smirking. To independence, he said. I almost laughed. Independence, the one thing they never gave me, but now wanted credit for. Before we toast, I said softly, there's something I need to share. I reached into my bag and pulled out a slim gray folder, the same color as my father's favorite suits. Their smiles faltered, just slightly. I was going to wait, I continued, but since we're all talking about independence. I slid the folder across the table. You might want to read this. My father frowned, opening it like it might bite. Inside was a letter, printed on Green Arc Technologies letterhead, with a logo he knew very well. His eyes darted down the page. My mother leaned in. Caleb craned his neck to peek. The text was clear. We are pleased to welcome Clara Dawson as lead sustainability architect for Green Arc Technologies, effective immediately. My mother blinked rapidly. This is real? Yes, I said. The contract was finalized last week. My father's jaw tightened. You didn't think to tell us? I smiled. You didn't think to invite me to dinner, either. Silence fell, thick, heavy, beautiful. The quartet in the background shifted to a slower melody, like the world itself was catching up. Caleb finally muttered, "You're working with Green Arc?" The same Green Arc Dad lost a deal with last year? I met his eyes. Not working with. Working for. My father exhaled sharply. The sound was almost a laugh but died halfway through. You're proud of this? He asked, voice trembling under the weight of his own disbelief. No, I said. I'm at peace with it. He looked at the letter again, the proof of what he'd dismissed, now printed in black and white. My mother's hand hovered near her wineglass, fingers trembling slightly. I stood. Straightened my blazer. You can keep the letter you gave me, I said, nodding toward the envelope of disownment. I already have my own, and it actually means something. Their silence was the first honest moment we'd ever shared. I turned to leave. Behind me, the faint sound of the quartet swelled again, gentle, bittersweet, final. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was walking away. I felt like I was walking home. They thought they'd cut me out of their story. But all they really did was make room for mine. The city was quiet that night. Not empty, just peaceful. Boston's skyline glimmered through a thin layer of fog as I walked away from the Aurelia room, the echo of rain soft against the pavement. Each step felt lighter, each breath more real. In my bag was their envelope, crisp and signed by Love, and beside it, my new contract from Green Arc Technologies. 2 letters. 2 versions of my name. One they erased. One they couldn't. When I reached my apartment, I turned on the lamp and set both envelopes on the counter. The air smelled of coffee and rain, the scent of every quiet night I'd built my future in. For a moment, I just looked at them, side by side. Past and present. Control and freedom. Then, slowly, I slipped their letter behind my Green Arc contract and placed both beneath the glass frame holding my degree. Not hidden. Just filed. Like evidence. Because that's what closure is, not noise, not confrontation, just proper documentation of peace. I brewed a cup of coffee, as always. The mug clicked softly against the table, a familiar rhythm, like a heartbeat. Outside, the world kept moving, delivery trucks, laughter from a nearby street, the hum of life carrying on. I checked my phone. A new message blinked from Caleb. We didn't mean it like that. Can we talk? The typing dots appeared. Then vanished. Appeared again. I watched them until they disappeared for good. And then, I turned the phone face down. Some conversations are better left unanswered. Not out of anger, but out of growth. As dawn crept through the blinds, the light pooled across my desk, warm, patient, forgiving. I looked at the reflection in the window, a woman who no longer needed validation to exist. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. I picked up my pen, opened a fresh page in my notebook, and wrote. Peace doesn't need witnesses. Then I smiled. Because revenge hadn't built my life. Resilience had. Families may write you out of their story. But remember this, every ending they give you is just a new beginning you get to author yourself. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or written off, this story is for you. Because sometimes silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. And peace is proof you've already won.